I think we all understand now what this season is all about, and it's not winning. Winning is not the number one mindset of a football team, an organization, and now a locker room. When you start to see nameplates get changed out and new guys come in that are totally foreign, I think it does kind of crystallize for guys like Myles Garrett. Like, what do you think Myles Garrett thinks today on a move like that? Like, are you gonna? You're going to play your butt off because you want to win Defensive Player of the Year, because you want to be talked about as the best.
Probably.
But are you going to be as dialed in?
I don't know. I think
24/7.
I think a guy like Myles Garrett should probably just go to the app on his phone and take a look at his bank account and understood why he signed the contract.
Yeah, well, he'll do that. But when you're down a couple scores at Pittsburgh this Sunday, are you chasing a guy down from behind?
You're not allowed to bring your cell phone on the sidelines with you, but so maybe somebody can tell him what his bank account is, because that's why you signed the contract. So I'm not going to hear any more. I'm sorry. I know I'm not giving you what you want. I'm not going to sit there and talk about Miles' feelings over that. You signed the deal. You signed the deal. You had your chance to leave. You didn't.
I kind of think you're misunderstanding me. I'm saying that...
Well, he's just the wrong example then.
Well, I think it's the best example because he's the best player on the team. And if he's not going to be dialed in 100%, what do you think that trickle down is going to be? And I think it's just human nature. Like, Myles probably, if we're being honest, never thought it was a Super Bowl team this year. Mm-hmm. But you feel like even more of your legs are getting cut out from underneath before you play your rival on the road. And this is your last stand. Like, if you lose to Pittsburgh, the season's over. It's over. People, I know it's easy for fans. They know the season's already over. They're 1-4. Not to guys that actually play the sport. Like, they're like, well, if we beat Pittsburgh with a rookie quarterback, then everything is still in play. Not when they start trading, quality veterans.
Well, you remember Myles the day he signed the contract, right? And he had the press conference and he said, I know the plan, right? They told me the plan. I know the plan.
We dinosaurs and cupcakes up there.
We obviously, you don't need to give me that look. We all obviously know that he didn't know the plan, but this was not the plan, right?
Oh, you don't think having 7 quarterbacks already in the building has been part of the plan?
We'll get a couple more in there. We'll get a Barry's dozen in there before the season ends.
You're right. I'm sorry. I know that wasn't the point you were trying to make, but it's just that I understand what you're trying to say. I would look maybe in a different direction. You know what? I'd like to look at one of the younger guys. What's Carson Schlesinger think? That's where I'd like to look. Myles' future is already done. Like, he's going to be a Hall of Famer no matter what. I'd like to know what Joel thinks. A guy who, if this team would have made the playoffs anymore, if they would have made the playoffs more and taken deeper runs, it'd be much easier to make a Hall of Fame argument for Joel Bitonio. Joel's not going to be a Hall of Famer, even though he's one of the best guards in this generation. He's not going to be in the Hall of Fame because the team didn't have the success, and he's not John Hanna, so nobody's going to notice that. But I want to know what he may think of something like that. Or by this time, who knows, Joel might just be counting down the games. So I might want to know what Carson Schlesinger thinks, who's set to be a guy who is going to be a part of this team's future. And hopefully will be a part of the team's great future if they can make the right moves. I want to know what Mason Graham thinks, who's played well and hopefully will be a part of this team's future and be a great part of this team's future in the future if they make the right moves. Myles is Myles. Myles has been taken care of. Myles has it all. He won't have the playoffs. He won't have the Super Bowl. He won't have those things, but he'll have generational wealth that trickles down through multiple generations of his family, and he'll be a Hall of Famer. And a first ballot one at that. So it doesn't matter as much to me what Myles thinks of this as it does a rookie like Schlesinger, who's been a tackling machine and seems to be a leader already.
I'm just saying, Ken, they all look to Myles. Myles is the guy that, because he's accomplished all of that, they all look to him as a model. Remember, all we heard about is Myles taking these younger guys, spending time in training camp at the end.
Aiden Huntington during the offseason. You're right about that. You're right. I'm not saying Myles is a villain in any of this. It's just, man, we're just looking for it in all the wrong places. We need to start looking towards the future, and Myles is technically a part of that future. But man, there's a lot in the past that his hands are dirty on. I'm not trying to be unfeeling here. I don't care. I care about what Carson Schlesinger is thinking, or Mason Graham is thinking. Or Aiden Huntington, I think I care about what he's thinking. I think he has a bright future, but he's not a first or a second round pick. But you get what I'm pointing out there. Quinshon Judkins, I care. I gotta look into the future. Myles signed his contract, and while Myles is a legendary player, every game you lose, like, you see what's going on the phones, and you see what goes on the street. Guys, I was at Woolly Bear on Sunday, and there were people going, can we trade him? Can we trade him? He shouldn't have to deal with this. I go, no. Now it's a really untrade. I think you have a better chance to trade Deshaun Watson right now than what you would with that, because it's just nonsensical after the money that's been spent. He signed his contract. So because you signed your contract and because you're making more generational wealth, I like Myles Garrett. Nice guy. Nice to my son. Said that a million times before. I don't have much sympathy.
No, it's not about sympathy, though. I'm talking about Myles because if you were to lose Myles at any point, then it's where we go from, oh, they're bad, but they're rebuilding, they're in a pivot year. Then you start talking about dysfunction. Mm-hmm. We have not talked about dysfunction. I know some fans have gotten in, and because they're bad teams, they assume bad teams are dysfunctional. That's not necessarily the case. Like I actually think they've been a normal functioning front office. We joke about the thought partner thing. I really do think they are pretty aligned. We've seen plenty of front offices and coaching staffs that were way less aligned than this one. So I do think there's been function. What I'm saying is, if Myles sees Newsome get traded,
functional, this is the most dysfunctional function I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it
can be dysfunctional and working just fine.
Well, wait, you don't understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay. I'm not trying to bog it down.
So what I'm saying is, the minute Myles, who has signed his contract, and I'm not asking anybody to feel sympathy for him. My God, what a great deal. He barely has to practice now. He's day to day every day, and then dominates during the games. So he's got a great setup. But when it comes to the rest of the guys that you're worried about what Carson Swessinger thinks. You're thinking Mason Graham. But if Myles starts becoming an issue because he sees you're not about winning, which they're not going to be about winning the rest of this year. Next year, what's your offensive line situation? How are you really trying to compete next year when you have that offensive line situation? That's where I start to worry about things, because that's when it can really turn into dysfunction.
This is an opportunity to start to change culture here. That's what I'm concerned about. That's why I'm talking about the pups. I have to find silver lining in anything. I can't just say it sucks for the rest of my life. I have to have some smile in the future or some hope in the future. If not, then what's it all matter? What does any of this matter? So I have to try to look for the opportunity. And the opportunity is to try to find an effing culture for the first time in how long? We haven't had a culture. We're yelling about it during the offseason. And I can't rely on Myles to establish a culture. So I have to go to Aiden Huntington now and go, hey, here's your chance. Here's your chance to be a leader, Ben. Carson Swessinger, Mason Graham, here's your chance. Here's your chance.
Well, the funny thing is, the defense,
this locker room going, because
the defense does have an identity and a culture, don't you think? Fans might not like the dancing and the pyrotechnics and
is Tyson Campbell, does he have a choreography background?
Yeah, but you can't deny that the Browns do have an identity. Like, there's a lot of bad teams that have no identity.
But your offense and how bad that is, I still need guys to be able to carry it over and to pick everybody up. Because this is the more disappointing and desperate and sad thing I have to say. Yeah, do you think they have any chance on Sunday in Pittsburgh?
I've lost a little bit. I just told Owen during the break when you were away, I'm like, I kind of feel like they can't win this week now.
They traded him away on Wednesday night. He's their starting corner. What message does that say to the guys on their way in this morning when they woke up and saw, well, they probably were awake by that, but they saw it, and what type of message does this send? And I love Mary Kay, but, well, the season's not gone yet. They got a funny way of showing it. Trading starters. Hey, I could understand Joe Flacco. Honestly, not trying to be overly dramatic here, and I'm a dramatic person. They could trade away Joe Flacco on Tuesday, and it's like, hey, he wasn't going to play anymore. You can explain that. That can be explainable, right? Hey, it's Cincinnati's hope. They're desperate. They're going to try to throw a Hail Mary. We'll see if that one works out. But you still got a starter there. And if we're talking about if we're not talking about the future, which is fine if you want to go, hey, maybe Tyson Campbell will be better. That's great. You still got a game you got to try to win on Sunday. This whole distraction when your own franchise is making moves here, I'm supposed to get excited and wave pom-poms, get excited about Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh? Like, if the game was at home, maybe, but this is in Pittsburgh. And I'm just having flashbacks because I'm a Browns fan and I've watched it on. I'll never go to a Browns-Steelers game in Pittsburgh. God, that would be a prison sentence for me, a legitimate one. I'm waiting to see it on TV. I'm waiting to hear Renegade. I'm waiting to see the towels, and I'm waiting there for that place to turn into a rock concert. Because these moves, this is such a massive distraction. And I'm supposed to think, oh yeah, season. They're still trying. It's week 6. They got Pittsburgh coming up on Sunday. Ain't about winning on Sunday. I hope. That's why I'm like, hey, this is an opportunity for the young guys to step in there and go, you know what, damn it. I'm supposed to be a future cornerstone of this football team. I can't just sit. Money's nice. I can't just sit here and suck up the room here for the rest of my life. I'm a national champion if I'm Mason Graham, okay? I'm a national champion if I'm Quinshon Judkins. I came from winning programs. I can't have this.
Oh,
no.
One of those has an asterisk, but yeah, I agree.